Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope you're doing all right and ready to get into some details because I've got a full breakdown of the newest patch released on November 27th, 2025. So let's start with the core of this patch. The big focus is on an issue tied directly to stamina during the Tumble Climb move. If you've spent any time trying to chain movements together, whether in a panic escape or a precision climb, you've definitely run into moments where your stamina just doesn't behave the way you expect. You hit the climb, you tumble, you try to grab onto something, and suddenly the meter either drains way too fast or cuts off your action completely. It feels like the game is fighting you at the worst possible time. This patch was designed to clean up that inconsistency so that your character's stamina matches what your fingers are telling the controls to do. That alone is going to make movement feel more honest, which is something you don't appreciate until it's broken and suddenly not broken anymore. Now, even though the update is tiny, it's the kind of fix that affects your experience constantly. Stamina management is baked into almost everything you do, whether you're sprinting to an objective, scaling up a ledge to avoid danger, or just jumping between obstacles. The meter is always there making micro decisions about what you can and can't do. When it misbehaves, it breaks your flow. When it behaves properly, you barely think about it, and that's the sign of a good system. With this fix in place, you should feel fewer moments where you go, wait, why did that fail? And more moments where success or failure feels like it's actually based on your timing instead of the game miscalculating something. Now let's talk about something that always comes up when updates drop: mods. Even when the official patch is small, mods can be surprisingly sensitive to tiny shifts in the game's internal logic. A simple adjustment to stamina behavior or a tweak to movement transitions might not sound like a big deal, but some mods hook into those exact functions, especially ones that modify player movement, animations, or shared libraries. What ends up happening is that a mod can misread the new behavior and either cause a glitch, a crash, or just break the flow of gameplay. If you're someone who runs a heavy mod setup, you'll want to pay attention to whether your go-to tools have been updated or if they need a recompile to line up with the new version. It's nothing dramatic, just one of the realities of a game with an active modding community. From a technical angle, this patch likely touches the logic that determines how the game transitions from tumbling to climbing, especially in the context of stamina regeneration and drain. Movement systems like this usually rely on a series of state changes, things like airborne, grabbing, climbing, recovering stamina, and so on. If any of those transitions fire at the wrong moment, it can create weird behavior. Maybe you're still considered airborne when you're actually grabbing a ledge, or maybe the game thinks you've exhausted stamina before you really have. Fixes like this tend to realign those transitions so the animation, the physics, and your inputs all line up more cleanly. It's subtle, but once you get used to the smoother version, going back to the old behavior would feel noticeably clunky. What's cool about tiny patches like this is that they make the game feel more reliable, even though they don't add anything flashy. When you record gameplay or stream with friends, you'll notice that your movements look cleaner and you hit fewer weird, unintended slips. Those moments where you'd climb halfway and inexplicably fall backward should happen less often. The fix helps maintain momentum, literally, and the more consistent the movement system becomes, the more confidence you'll have pushing the limits of what's possible. That matters a lot for players who love mastering routes or shaving seconds off their runs. And if you're someone who's been on the receiving end of the old stamina bug, this patch is going to feel like a breath of fresh air. No more guessing whether the meter is going to betray you mid-sequence. No more stopping short because the game interpreted the movement in a weird way. Now it's all more predictable, which is exactly what a movement-heavy game should aim for. Of course, anytime a new patch rolls out, it's smart to keep an eye on your setup, especially if you're running mods. If something feels off after updating, the simplest way to check is to launch the game vanilla and see if the issue persists. If the clean version works fine, then you know it's a mod compatibility hiccup. Not a big deal, just something to keep in mind. But when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this patch is a reminder that even the non-flashy updates matter. They're the kind that shape the moment-to-moment experience. They make the world feel more cohesive. They make your actions feel more responsive. They clean up the rough edges so that when the game does drop a chunky content update, it lands on top of a strong foundation instead of piling onto systems that are still shaky. So yeah, while 0.3.2 isn't turning the game upside down, it is smoothing out something that you interact with constantly, and that's worth appreciating. Movement is one of the things players feel the most, even more than visuals or sounds sometimes. And when the movement system stops arguing with you, everything else feels better as a result. Overall, this is one of those patches that might not look huge in a changelog, but if you play regularly, you'll feel the difference in every escape, every climb, every close call, and every moment you're trying to outmaneuver whatever the game throws at you.